A3C Youth, welcome back guys. Remember, on Instagram there's 2 videos, on YouTube it's 1 big video. If you need the details for Zoom, it is 6:30, okay? And if you need the Zoom code or anything like that, it will be on the Instagram, or you can contact one of the leaders and they'll give you the information. Sweet, see you there.
Hey guys, welcome to 3C Youth.
You're so welcome, and tonight we're going to be talking about worship.
So Bethany, what is worship?
What is worship? Okay, good question. Worship is something that I'm sure you're all familiar with it from church and stuff, but if you're not, it's where we come together and we take time to not only this, but in some ways we sing and we praise God for who He is. We like to think that it's not about us, although sometimes we do get a nice feeling from it, or we enjoy the worship. It's primarily not about us. It's about worshipping God. It's about bringing Him glory and honour, and it's something that He's asked us to do because it's really fulfilling, not only for us, but it also connects us with Him in another way. That because we've been looking at prayer and we've been looking at reading His Word, but it's another way that we can connect with God.
Yeah, that's so good. And just a wee verse from the Passion Translation, Romans 12 verse 1, it says, "Beloved friends, what should be our proper response to God's marvellous mercies? I encourage you to surrender yourselves to God, to be His sacred living sacrifices, and live in holiness, experiencing all that delights His heart, for this becomes your genuine expression of worship." So worship isn't just the 20-minute set, a part of the programme that we do on a Sunday. It is so much more than that. It incorporates our whole lives, from our work and what we do in school, our actions, our mindset, our attitudes, it's our words, it's our thoughts, it's everything that we do and say. We want to be mindful that it is worship unto God. So we want to think, is what we are saying, is what we are doing, is what we are thinking, is that worship to God? We want our lives to just be complete living sacrifices for Him, and we want our life to just be an act of worship in every day and in everything that we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Bethany, you lead worship, you sing, you play. What does worship then look like for you? Because I know it's just everything that we said, but we do sing and we do worship God. Like say on a Sunday, not just but at church, maybe at conferences, maybe at youth. But like, what does that mean for you when you're leading? When you're praising God, when you're worshipping? How do you connect with God through that? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so the way it would look for me is obviously during the week I would be making a set list and stuff, and normally I have to set aside some time in my week to do that. So that would be me taking maybe 2 hours out of my day, looking at songs, looking at what we're going to talk about, and how does that link in with how we can worship God. So worshipping about the topic that was going to be preached about before we even get to the preach, so that our hearts are ready. So in some ways I have to think of it quite methodically before it becomes like a spiritual thing. But I would pick songs, play them, sing them, worship through them, think, is this something God wants to talk to us through, or is this a song that I just enjoy? And then part of that is also just singing it, playing it, and enjoying it, and just being in God's presence before it even becomes a band thing. Then you get to take it to the band, you got to work on it together, see where it's going, and where you think that points of leading it could be. I'm sure some of you are in worship bands yourself, so you would know this. You know that you have to practice the song, because you're not just playing for yourself, you're playing for God, and you're also leading an entire church in worship. And that's so important, because you need to get them to that place where they are enjoying the worship, and not only that, but they are praising from their hearts. So so that's the background work. But then it it comes to the point where you are playing in church and you're singing, and although having a nice voice and playing all the chords and all the words is really great and really important, it's not the most important thing. It's about being in that moment. It's about worshipping yourself, because how can you lead other people into worship if you aren't worshipping yourself? And I think that's just such a key, vital part of it, is that you worship, because if you show people how to worship, then they know how to worship. So I think it being in the moment whenever I'm leading or worshipping in church is that sometimes I will close my eyes and I will just pray in the middle of worship, or I will just meditate on God, or ask God, what do you want to show? What do you want to teach us through this? And God, how great are you? Meditate on those words that we're singing about, and think about them being like, wow, aren't these so true? Aren't these absolute truths that we are singing? So that's what it would look like from like my view from church. But like Vicky, you don't actually be on the worship band. Like, how does that look for you as being part of the congregation?
So obviously, when it's such a privilege, and what we're really missing at the minute, I think, is fellowship. You know, just being in church and being surrounded by other believers worshipping. And I know that looks so different for each individual. Some people will be raising their hands in worship, some people will be kneeling, some people will, you know, it's totally different for every person, and that's totally fine. I'm really missing that at the minute, you know, being encouraged by other believers, and it's almost like you're one voice and you're one body and you're one heart, and that's amazing. So if we're thinking about what church, you know, normally looks like, say pre-COVID, just being in the congregation, it's really hard not to get caught up. I don't know if you're like me, but you know, we obviously all have our preferences of songs and maybe certain artists. We are all, you know, different, and that's again totally okay. But I think it's coming in with the mindset of not, oh, what set list are they playing today? Oh, I can really truly engage in worship because they didn't play my favourite songs. It's not about that. It's about coming before God, laying your heart before Him and giving your everything, laying yourself down. It doesn't matter what the song is, it doesn't matter what the preach is about. It's you coming to engage with God. It's you coming to worship Him no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's a 1900s hymn or the latest Bethel song. It's you engaging and singing those words and them ringing true to you and being like, yes, how great is your faithfulness? God, thank you for loving us so much. Thank you for sending your Son to die for us. You know, you engaging with God, and then coming away, say, from that worship session, from whether it was youth, whether it was church, you need to bring that attitude of worship then into your individual lives, because you're not always going to have a worship band around you. You're not always going to have believers around you and fellowship with others, which we are experiencing in this season. So how do you cultivate worship then when you're by yourself? So you cultivate worship with trying to cultivate that presence with God, you know, getting to that secret place, you know, closing the door, locking yourself away, getting alone with God, and trying to surround yourself with His presence, whether that's praying, whether that's delving into His word, whether that's playing worship music and just singing and just, you know, meditating and being with Him. That's how we can worship. Maybe it's going on a walk. You know, there's so many ways that we can do that. So it's really important, especially in this season, that we really truly worship God with our whole lives in any and every way that we can. Do you have anything to add to that?
I totally agree with that, and I actually resonate with that, because it's something I love doing. Is just going on a walk, sticking in my headphones, putting on a worship playlist on Spotify, and just in the middle of, because I live in the countryside, in the middle of nowhere, like just singing, belting in the middle of a walk, in the middle of nowhere. You know, I just love those moments where you just get alone time with God. And isn't it so important? Because yes, we can come and we can worship together, but God's asking for your heart when it comes to worship. So if we can do that when we're alone, my is it going to be incredible then when you can do it with other people.
You know, 100%. And I think it's just important to realise, like, He doesn't need you to be like a musician. He doesn't need you to be a singer. Like, he literally just wants your heart. So whether you're just quietly listening to worship or praying or reading, or like Bethany, or belting out the songs, whether you're driving or walking, he just wants you. He just wants your heart. He just wants to build relationship with you, and that's just what worship is about in everything that you do, whether you're in school, whether you're being homeschooled right now, whether you're working, whether you're alone, whether you're with other people. It's just worshiping. It's just bringing that presence wherever you are. It's bringing, carrying God with you, carrying that light, just carrying that attitude of God is with me. I want to be more like him. I want to spend more time with him, and growing in that desire to just increase worship and that attitude everywhere you go. Yeah.
So guys, now that we've talked a little about what worship looks like as a whole with other people and what it looks like on our own, I'm going to ask you the question, like, how do you find worship? What does your worship look like for you individually? And whenever you're with other people, like, do you find that you find worship easy, or do you find that it's something that's a wee bit more difficult? Do you enjoy worship, or do you struggle to get into that place of worship? These are all questions that we're going to come to in our small groups, but right now I invite you to just think about that. Think about, how do I actually find worship with myself?
So we're going to give you an opportunity to worship right now. Bethany's going to lead us in a couple of songs, but just allow yourself, open your heart, open your mind, whatever way you worship, whether that's sitting down, whether that's standing, whether that's kneeling, just allow yourself to be completely surrendered in worship, and just allow God to speak to you, allow his presence to surround you, and just embrace it, and we'll see you soon afterwards at 6:30.